Level 1. The smell of ink and ambition. You are not yet his teacher. You are just a man standing at the edge of Macedonia, looking at a boy who looks back at you like you are something to be conquered. His name is Alexander, and already he terrifies you a little, not because of who he is, because of who he might become. King Philip summoned you with a letter. 3 lines, no pleasantries. Come, teach my son. Name your price. You didn't come for the price. You came because something in you knew that this child was not ordinary, and ordinary teachers do not shape the world. You arrive at Mieza, a quiet place, gardens, stone corridors, the sound of wind through olive trees. They call it the nymphium, you call it a laboratory, not for metals or fire, for minds. You unpack your scrolls carefully. Homer, Heraclitus, your own notes, still half finished, still breathing. You place them on a stone table, and you wait. He walks in without knocking. Of course he does. He looks at your scrolls like they are enemy territory. He is already planning to invade. You don't bow. He notices. Good. The first lesson has already begun. Level 2. What a boy like this fears you learn quickly that Alexander is not afraid of pain, not afraid of war, not afraid of death. He is afraid of being ordinary. And that fear is the most dangerous thing in the world. More dangerous than any sword, more dangerous than any army. You watch him during the first week. He argues with everything. Every idea you present, he attacks it. Not because he disagrees, because he wants to test it. He wants to know if the idea can survive him. Most cannot. One morning, you read him Achilles. His eyes change. You've seen hunger before. This is different. This is recognition. Like a boy looking into a river and seeing not his reflection, but his destiny. You close the scroll. Achilles died young, you say quietly. He looks at you. He died remembered, he answers. You say nothing. But inside, something shifts. You realize this boy is not a student. He is a force of nature that you have been asked to aim. Level 3, the Garden of Questions. You change your method. No more lectures. No more here is the truth. Receive it. You walk with him every morning through the gardens of Miza. You talk while moving. You've always believed the body and the mind must breathe together. Motion loosens thought. Stillness sometimes calcifies it. He asks you one morning, without warning, what is the point of knowledge if I am going to rule by force anyway? You stop walking. You turn to him. Every king who ruled by force only is now dust, and we remember them only as cautionary tales. He is quiet. You continue walking. A sword can take a city, you say, but only an idea can hold it. He thinks about this for 3 days, because on the 4th day, he comes back with a new question. Then what is the most powerful idea? You smile, not because you have the answer, but because he finally asked the right question. That, you tell him, is what we are here to find out. Level 4. When darkness speaks. Not every lesson happens in the garden. Some happen at night, after a dinner where too much wine was poured. After Alexander watched a soldier be punished in the courtyard below. He comes to find you. He doesn't knock, but this time his footsteps are slower. He sits across from you without speaking. The oil lamp flickers between you. You wait. Finally, is cruelty sometimes necessary? You feel the weight of the question. It's not abstract for him. It never is. You don't answer immediately. You let the silence do work. Silence is a teacher too. Cruelty, you say at last, is what a ruler uses when he has run out of wisdom. He stares at the flame. My father is cruel, he says quietly, and he is winning. He is winning battles, you correct. Ask me again in 20 years whether he won. Something crosses Alexander's face. You aren't sure if it is anger or grief. Maybe both. Maybe in him they are the same thing. You reach for a scroll. You read him nothing tonight. You simply say, the mark of a great soul is not that it never feels darkness, but that it chooses every single time not to become it. He leaves without responding, but he does not sleep, because neither do you. Level 5, the weight of everything you know. There are days when you feel the sheer weight of what you carry. You are not just a teacher. You are a philosopher trying to map the entire universe. Biology, ethics, politics, poetry, the stars, the soul. You believe that the world can be understood, that beneath the chaos there is order. And if you can teach that order to this boy, maybe the world will be a little less brutal. You write constantly. Some nights, Alexander finds you bent over your desk, ink on your hands, mumbling to yourself. Do you ever stop? He asks once. Do you? You reply. He laughs. It is a rare sound, pure, unguarded. You treasure it, though you never say so, because you understand something about him that others miss. Beneath the ambition, beneath the fire and the hunger, there is a boy who simply wants someone to take him seriously, not as a prince, not as a future king, as a mind. And so you do. You argue with him as an equal. You push back on his ideas with the full force of your intellect. You don't soften the edges. He hates when you soften the edges. And in doing so, you give him the one thing no crown can give, the dignity of being genuinely challenged. Level 6, what politics really is. You teach him governance, not the kind they teach in royal courts, not the pageantry, not the performance of power, the architecture of it. You explain the three forms of government: monarchy, aristocracy, polity, and their dark shadows: tyranny, oligarchy, democracy run to mob. He listens differently now, not attacking, absorbing. Which is best? He asks. You say, that serves the polis, the city, the people, and not itself. But someone must be at the top, he says. Yes, you look at him. And that person must want power less than they want justice. He looks away. You both know what you're really saying. Can you want power, desperately, completely, and still be just? You don't know the answer. You're not sure anyone does. But you plant the question in him like a seed, because you believe, even if he becomes the greatest conqueror the world has ever seen, if that question is alive inside him, he might pause. Once, twice. Maybe that is enough. Maybe a single moment of mercy multiplied across an empire is civilization itself. Level 7, the day. He almost breaks. It happens in the third year. A letter arrives from Philip's court. You don't know what it says, but you see Alexander's face after he reads it. You've seen him angry before. This is not anger. This is something deeper, older. He disappears for 2 days. His companions look to you. You shake your head. Leave him. Some storms must be walked through alone. When he returns, he is quieter. Something has calcified in him, a decision made in the dark when no one was watching. He comes to you that evening, sits down, doesn't say anything about the letter. Instead, he asks, did you ever lose something you couldn't get back? You think of your wife, Pythias. You think of your teacher, Plato, whose ideas you have spent your life both honoring and dismantling. You think of Athens, of the things you have written that you know are incomplete, of the questions that will die with you unanswered. Yes, you say simply. He nods. What did you do? I kept working. Why? You look at the stars beginning to appear through the open window, because the alternative is to let the loss become the story, and you are more than what was taken from you. He is silent for a long time. Then, I'm going to be king soon. I know. Will you still be here? You want to say yes, but you are a man of truth before you are a man of comfort. I don't know, you admit, but what I've given you cannot be taken. Level 8, the last lesson. Philip is dead. The word arrives like a stone dropped into still water. Ripples, then chaos. Alexander is 20 years old. He is king. He comes to you one final time at Mirza. He is different now. The boy is gone. Or rather, the boy is still there, buried under armor and grief and the sudden terrifying weight of an empire. You walk together in the garden one last time. Neither of you speaks for a long while. You think about everything you taught him. Virtue is not a feeling. It is a habit. Excellence is not an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. The wise man does not say everything he thinks, but he thinks everything he says. Did it reach him? Did any of it reach him? You don't know. You may never know. He stops walking, turns to you. For a moment he is 13 again, standing in your doorway without knocking, looking at your scrolls like enemy territory. Was I a good student? He asks. The question undoes you, quietly, because it is not the question of a king. It is the question of a child who wanted to be seen. You were, you choose carefully. The most alive mind I have ever encountered. He holds that, nods once, turns toward the horizon, toward Persia, toward Egypt, toward the edge of the known world. And you watch him go, the way a sculptor watches a statue walk off the table, knowing it is no longer yours, knowing it never truly was. Level 9. What comes after you return to Athens? You build your own school, the Lyceum. You walk its corridors every morning. New students, new questions, new fires to light. But sometimes, in the middle of a lecture on metaphysics or the nature of the soul, a messenger arrives with news from the east. Alexander has crossed into Persia. Alexander has taken Egypt. Alexander has named a city after himself. Then another, then another. Your students look at you when the news arrives, waiting for your reaction. You give them nothing. But alone, in the evening, you sit with the reports. You read them the way a parent reads letters from a child gone to war, searching for the person you knew between the victories, between the burning cities and the brilliant strategies. You catch glimpses of him, a moment of unexpected mercy, a library preserved where others burned, a culture studied before it was absorbed. He remembered, not everything, not always, but sometimes, and sometimes is all a teacher can ever hope for. You cannot pour your entire soul into another person. You can only open a door. What they do with the light that comes through, that is their story. Yours was only to knock a hole in the wall. Level 10, the question that outlives everything. You are old now. Athens has turned against you. They say you are too close to Alexander, too Macedonian, too dangerous. You remember Socrates, what Athens does to its philosophers when it grows afraid. You leave quietly. I will not give Athens the chance to sin against philosophy twice. You go to Chalcis, your mother's homeland. You sit by the sea and you think, not about Alexander, not about politics or persecution. You think about the garden at Mieza, a 13-year-old boy reading Homer, eyes catching fire. You think about one afternoon, you had almost forgotten it, when the lesson went quiet, and Alexander looked at you and asked, genuinely softly, what is the purpose of a human life? And you had answered, as you always did, with precision, to live well, to act well, to flourish, not just for yourself, but as part of something larger. He had thought about it. Then, and if you are a king, then what is larger than you? You hadn't answered that day. You let the question breathe. But sitting here now, by the water, with the sun going down, you think you finally know. Nothing is larger than the question itself. Not kingdoms, not conquests, not the names carved in stone. The question, why are we here? How should we live? What do we owe each other? That is the thing that never dies. Alexander will die. You will die. Mieza will crumble. The Lyceum will burn. Even the gods, if they exist, may one day be forgotten. But the question survives everything. And every teacher who ever dared to ask it with a student, every moment in every garden where a mind opened, that is immortality. Not the kind built from marble, the kind built from wonder. You close your eyes, the water moves, the world continues. Somewhere across the desert, a king who was once a boy is looking at the horizon, still asking, and that is enough.